In an old house where whispers never stop, a boy's new friend hides a dark secret that could end everything. John was a young boy, about 10 years old. He lived with his mom and dad in a big city. One day, his dad got a new job in a small town. They had to move to an old house there. The house was big and old with creaky floors and dusty rooms. It was called the Old Bungalow. People in the town said it was haunted, but John's family did not believe in ghosts. When they arrived, it was raining. The house looked dark and sad. John did not like it. His room was upstairs, with a big window that looked out to the woods. At night, John heard strange sounds, like footsteps in the hall, but he thought it was just the wind. One night, John could not sleep. He got up and walked around. In the living room, he saw a shadow. It looked like a man, but thin and pale. The shadow said, "Hello, boy. I am Sam. I live here too." John was scared at first, but Sam seemed nice. Sam said he was a ghost who died long ago in the house. He told John stories about the past. John started to like Sam. They talked every night. But Sam had a secret. He was not just a nice ghost. He had done bad things when he was alive. He killed people. Now, as a ghost, he wanted to do more bad things. John did not know this yet. The house felt cold all the time. John's mom and dad fought more. They said the house was making them sad. John kept seeing Sam. Sam showed John hidden rooms in the house. One room had old toys. John played with them, but the toys moved on their own sometimes. One day, John told his friend at school about Sam. The friend said, "That house is dangerous. A bad man died there." John did not listen. He thought Sam was his friend. At night, Sam whispered to John, "We can be friends forever." "But you have to help me," John asked. "Help with what?" Sam smiled in a scary way. "Just wait," he said. The old bungalow was always cold. John woke up every morning with his breath making little clouds in the air. The walls were gray, and the paint peeled in long strips like old skin. The floors creaked with every step. The house smelled like dust and something sour, like old food left in a corner. John's mom cleaned every day, but the dust came back. His dad worked late at his new job, so John was alone a lot. He didn't mind too much because he had Sam. Sam, the ghost, appeared every night. He was tall and thin, with pale skin that looked almost see-through. His eyes were dark, like holes in his face. But he smiled a lot, and John thought that meant he was friendly. Sam told stories about the town from 100 years ago. He talked about horses, old shops, and people who lived in the bungalow. John loved the stories. They made the house feel less empty. One night, Sam sat on the edge of John's bed. The room was dark, and the big window showed the black woods outside. The wind howled, making the glass rattle. Sam's voice was soft, like a whisper. "John," he said, "friends help each other, right?" John nodded. "Yeah, Sam, what do you want?" Sam's smile grew wider, but it wasn't a nice smile. "There's something I need you to do. It's easy. There's a box in the basement. It's small, made of wood, with a lock on it. I want you to hide it." John frowned. "Why?" Sam leaned closer. His breath was cold on John's face. "It's a secret. You like secrets, don't you? If you hide it, I'll show you something fun. Maybe another hidden room." John liked the hidden rooms. The one with the toys was his favorite. The toys were old. Wooden cars, a cracked doll, and a spinning top that moved by itself sometimes. He didn't tell his parents about the room. He didn't tell them about Sam either. They wouldn't believe him. "Okay," John said. "Where do I hide it?" Sam pointed to the floor. "There's a loose board under the rug in the living room. Put it there. Don't let your mom or dad see." The next day, John waited until his mom was cooking and his dad was at work. The house was quiet, except for the creak of the floors and the drip of a leaky pipe somewhere. John went to the basement. It was dark and smelled like wet dirt. The stairs groaned under his feet. He found the box where Sam said it would be, behind some old crates. It was small, about the size of a shoebox, and heavy. The wood was dark and scratched, with a rusty lock on the front. John didn't try to open it. He felt cold holding it, like it was sucking the warmth from his hands. He carried the box upstairs. The living room was dim, with heavy curtains that blocked the sun. The rug was old, with faded flowers on it. John found the loose board Sam talked about. It lifted easily, revealing a dark space underneath. He pushed the box inside and put the board back. His heart was beating fast, but he didn't know why. That night, Sam appeared again. The room was cold and the window rattled. Sam's eyes seemed darker than before. "Good job, John," he said. "You're a real friend. What's in the box?" John asked. Sam's smile faded for a second. Just old things. Things I don't want anyone to find. Don't worry about it. John didn't like how Sam said that. But then Sam changed the subject. Want to see something new? He asked. He led John to another hidden room, this one behind a bookshelf in the hall. The room was small, with a single chair and a broken mirror on the wall. The mirror had cracks that made John's reflection look wrong, like his face was twisted. Sam laughed. This was my room, he said. I used to sit here and think. John felt a chill. What did you think about? Sam didn't answer. He just stared at the mirror, his eyes like black holes. The next day, John's mom noticed he was quiet. You okay, John? She asked. The kitchen was cold, and the windows were foggy from the rain outside. John wanted to tell her about Sam, but he didn't. He remembered Sam's words. Don't let your mom or dad see. He just nodded and said he was fine. At school, John's friend Tim asked about the house again. You still see that ghost? Tim whispered during lunch. The cafeteria was loud, but John felt like everyone was listening. Yeah, John said. He's nice. He shows me cool stuff. Tim looked worried. My grandpa says that house is bad. People died there. You should tell your parents. John shook his head. Sam's my friend. He wouldn't hurt me. That night, Sam was waiting in John's room. The air was colder than usual, and the floor creaked even when John didn't move. Sam said, You didn't tell anyone about the box, did you? No, John said quickly. Good, Sam said. Because if you tell, I won't be happy. And you want me to be happy, don't you? John nodded, but his stomach felt tight. Sam's smile was too wide and his eyes were too dark. The house felt heavier, like it was watching John. The walls seemed closer, the shadows deeper. John went to bed, but he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the box under the floor. The old bungalow never felt warm. Every morning, John woke up shivering, his blanket too thin against the cold that seeped from the walls. The air smelled like damp wood and something sour, like milk gone bad. The floors creaked with every step, and the windows rattled even when there was no wind. John's mom dusted the shelves every day, but the dust settled back by night. The house was old, with peeling paint and shadows that seemed to move when no one was looking. John spent most nights talking to Sam, the ghost. Sam was always there, sitting on the edge of John's bed or standing by the big window that faced the dark woods. His pale face glowed faintly in the moonlight, and his eyes were like deep black pools. John still thought Sam was his friend, but he was starting to feel uneasy. Sam's smiles were too wide and his whispers were too cold. One night, Sam leaned close to John. The room was dark, and the floorboards groaned softly. You did good hiding the box, Sam said. His voice was like a breeze through dead leaves. Now I need another favor. Friends help each other, right? John nodded, but his chest felt tight. What do you want me to do? Sam pointed out the window toward the neighbor's house, a small gray building across the street. There's a key in their backyard. It's under a rock near the fence. I need you to get it. John frowned. Why do you need a key? Sam's eyes glinted. It opened something important. Something I lost a long time ago. You'll do it for me, won't you? John didn't want to. Stealing felt wrong. But Sam's stare made his skin crawl, and he didn't want to make Sam angry. Okay, John said quietly. I'll try. The next day was gray and rainy. The town looked sad, with wet streets and bare trees. John waited until after school. His mom was in the kitchen, scrubbing the same counter she scrubbed every day. His dad was still at work. John slipped out the back door, his sneakers squishing in the mud. The neighbor's house was quiet, with no lights on. John felt like someone was watching him as he crept into their backyard. The fence was old and splintered. John found a flat rock near it, just like Sam said. Underneath was a small rusty key. It was cold in his hand, heavier than it looked. He stuffed it in his pocket and ran home. The old bungalow was waiting, its windows like dark eyes. John hid the key under his mattress where Sam told him to put it. That night, Sam was happier than usual. You're a good friend, John, he said, his voice soft but sharp. Soon, we'll do something big together. John didn't ask what. He didn't want to know. Meanwhile, John's parents were acting strange. His mom kept losing things, her keys, her phone, even her favorite scarf. This house is cursed, she muttered one morning. The kitchen was cold and the windows were foggy. John's dad laughed it off, but he looked tired. He said he heard noises at night like footsteps in the attic. John didn't tell them about Sam or the key. He was afraid of what Sam might do if he told. At school, John's friend Tim was worried. They sat in the cafeteria where kids shouted and trays clattered. "You look scared," Tim said. "Is it the ghost?" John shrugged. "Sam's okay. He just asked me to do stuff." Tim's eyes widened. "What stuff?" "My grandpa says the man who lived in your house was bad. He hurt people. You need to tell your parents." John shook his head. "Sam won't hurt me." "He's my friend." But he wasn't so sure anymore. That night the house felt heavier. The air was thick and the shadows seemed to move on their own. John lay in bed, the key under his mattress pressing into his mind. Sam appeared by the window, his face paler than ever. "You didn't tell anyone about the key, did you?" he asked. "No," John lied. His heart was racing. Sam's smile was gone. "Good, because if you tell, I'll know. And I won't be happy." John didn't sleep that night. The house creaked, the wind howled, and the shadows grew darker. He kept thinking about the key and what it might open. He wondered if Tim was right. Maybe Sam wasn't his friend after all. The old bungalow was always dark. The windows let in little light, even on sunny days. The walls were cold, covered in peeling paint that flaked like dead leaves. The air smelled of dust and something sharp, like metal left in the rain. Every step made the floorboards creak, and the house groaned at night, as if it were alive. John's mom swept the floors daily, but the dust never left. The house felt heavy, like it was pressing down on everyone inside. John couldn't stop thinking about the key under his mattress. It felt wrong, like it was watching him. Sam, the ghost, was always there now, appearing in the shadows of John's room. His pale face glowed faintly, and his eyes were blacker than ever, like holes that swallowed light. John used to like Sam's stories, but now they felt different. Sam's voice was colder, his smile sharper. One night Sam stood by the big window, the woods outside black and still. The room was freezing and John's breath puffed out in clouds. "You've got the key," Sam said. "It's time to use it." John's stomach twisted. "Use it for what?" Sam pointed to the hallway. "There's a door in the attic. It's locked. The key opens it." "I need you to see what's inside." John didn't want to go to the attic. He'd been there once, helping his dad move boxes. It was dark, with cobwebs and a musty smell. The floor up there creaked louder than anywhere else. "What's in the door?" John asked. Sam's smile was thin. "Something I left behind. Something important." "You're my friend, John. You'll do it, won't you?" John nodded, but his hands shook. He didn't want to make Sam angry. Sam's eyes made him feel small, like he couldn't say no. The next day, John waited until his parents were busy. His mom was in the kitchen, scrubbing dishes. The sink dripped and the room was cold. His dad was reading in the living room where the curtains blocked the sun. John grabbed the key from under his mattress. It was icy in his hand, heavier than before. He climbed the narrow stairs to the attic, each step creaking. The air up there was thick, like breathing through a wet cloth. The attic was dark, with only a small window letting in gray light. Boxes were piled everywhere, covered in dust. John found the door Sam talked about. It was small, tucked in a corner with a rusty lock. The key fit perfectly. John turned it and the lock clicked. He pushed the door open. Inside was a tiny room. The walls were scratched, like someone had clawed at them. There was a table with old papers, yellow and crumbling. John picked one up. It was a newspaper clipping, faded but readable. It said, "Local man, Samuel Carter, wanted for murders." There was a picture of a man who looked like Sam, but alive, with the same dark eyes. The article said Samuel killed 3 people in the old bungalow before he died. John's heart raced. He dropped the paper. The room felt colder and the shadows moved. He heard a whisper behind him. "You found it," Sam said. John turned, but Sam wasn't there. The door slammed shut and the lock clicked. John ran downstairs, his breath short. He didn't tell his parents. He was too scared. That night his mom noticed something. "John, you're pale," she said. The kitchen was dim and the windows rattled. "Are you sick?" John shook his head, but he couldn't speak. His dad was acting strange too. He said he found scratches on the walls like someone had carved them. "This house is falling apart," he muttered. John wanted to tell them about Sam, about the key, about the attic. But Sam's words echoed in his head. "I'll know if you tell." At school, Tim asked John what was wrong. The cafeteria was loud, with kids laughing and trays banging. "You look bad," Tim said. "Is it the ghost?" John didn't answer. He kept thinking about the newspaper. Sam was a killer, and now Sam was his friend. That night, Sam appeared in John's room. The air was so cold it hurt to breathe. "You saw the paper?" Sam said. His voice was low like a growl. "It doesn't matter. You're my friend now. We're going to do big things together." John didn't sleep. The house creaked, the shadows danced, and the key under his mattress felt like a stone. The old bungalow was a cold, dark place. The walls were gray, with paint peeling like old scabs. The air smelled of dust and something bitter like burnt paper. Every step made the floorboards creak and the windows rattled even on still nights. John's mom cleaned every day, but the dust always came back. The house felt alive, but not in a good way. It was like it watched John, waiting for something. John couldn't forget the newspaper clipping from the attic. Sam was Samuel Carter, a killer. The words stuck in his head. Wanted for murders. He saw Sam's dark eyes in his dreams, and the key under his mattress felt heavier every night. Sam was always there now, lurking in the shadows of John's room. His pale face glowed faintly, and his smile was sharp, like a knife. One night, Sam sat on John's bed. The room was freezing, and the big window showed the black woods outside. The wind howled, making the glass shake. "You're my best friend, John," Sam said. His voice was soft but heavy, like a stone dropping in water. "I need you to do one more thing for me." John's heart pounded. "What?" Sam leaned closer. His breath was cold like winter air. "There's a shed in the backyard. Inside there's a knife. I want you to break it. Smash it with a rock." John's mouth went dry. "Why a knife?" Sam's eyes glinted. "It's bad. It hurts me. If you break it, I'll be free. You want to help me, don't you?" John didn't want to. A knife sounded dangerous. But Sam's stare made his skin crawl, and he was afraid to say no. "Okay," he whispered. The next day was foggy. The town looked gray, with wet streets and bare trees. John waited until his parents were busy. His mom was in the living room, folding clothes. The room was dim, with heavy curtains blocking the light. His dad was in the garage fixing a broken chair. John slipped out to the backyard. The shed was old, with splintered wood and a rusty lock. The key from the neighbor's yard opened it. Inside, the shed smelled like oil and rot. John found the knife on a shelf covered in dust. It was long, with a black handle and a blade that looked stained. It felt cold like the key. John took it outside and found a rock. He smashed the knife over and over until the blade snapped. His hands shook, and he felt sick. That night, Sam was different. He stood by the window, his face brighter, like he was stronger. "You did it," he said, his voice sharp. "Now we're closer. Soon we'll be unstoppable." John didn't like that. "What do you mean?" Sam just laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Meanwhile, John's parents were noticing things. His mom found a box of old letters in the basement, hidden behind crates. They were written by someone named Samuel Carter. "These are creepy," she said, reading one at the kitchen table. The kitchen was cold and the sink dripped. The letters talked about anger and revenge. John's dad frowned. "This house has a bad history," he said. He'd found more scratches on the walls, deep ones, like claw marks. At school, John's friend Tim was scared for him. They sat in the cafeteria, where trays clattered and kids shouted. "You look awful," Tim said. "What's the ghost making you do?" John didn't want to talk about the knife. "Nothing," he lied. "Sam's fine." Tim shook his head. "My grandpa says that house is evil." "You need to get out." That night, the house felt darker. The shadows moved, and the air was so cold John's teeth chattered. Sam appeared, his eyes blacker than ever. "You didn't tell anyone about the knife, did you?" he asked. "No," John said, his voice small. "Good," Sam said, "because we're not done yet." John lay awake, listening to the house creak. The broken knife was gone, but he felt it in his mind, sharp and cold. He wondered what Sam wanted next. He wondered if he could stop. The old bungalow was a prison of cold and shadows. The walls were gray with paint peeling like dead skin. The air smelled of dust and something sharp, like rusted iron. Every step made the floorboards creak, and the windows rattled as if something outside wanted in. John's mom cleaned endlessly, but the dust clung to every surface. The house felt alive, its shadows moving, its walls whispering. John felt it watching him, waiting. John was scared all the time now. Sam, the ghost, was no longer just a friend. His pale face glowed brighter, his black eyes deeper, like pits that could swallow you. John knew Sam was Samuel Carter, the killer from the newspaper clipping. The key and the broken knife haunted his dreams. He couldn't tell his parents. Sam's words echoed. "I'll know if you tell." One night, Sam appeared in John's room. The air was so cold it burned. The big window showed the dark woods and the house groaned. Sam's voice was low, like a growl. "You've done everything I asked, John," he said. "Now we can be together forever." John's heart raced. "What do you mean?" Sam's smile was wide, too wide. "I need a body. Yours. I can live again, and you'll stay with me. We'll make this house ours." John shook his head. "No, I don't want that." Sam's eyes flashed. "You don't have a choice. You broke the knife. You opened the door. You belong to me now." John ran to the door, but it slammed shut. The room grew darker, and Sam's shadow grew larger, filling the walls. John felt cold hands on his shoulders, pulling him back. He screamed, but no sound came out. Downstairs, John's parents were awake. His mom had found more letters in the basement, written by Samuel Carter. They were angry, full of hate, talking about a plan to come back. "This is crazy," she said, her voice shaking. The kitchen was cold, the sink dripping. John's dad held a photo he'd found in the attic, showing Samuel Carter standing in front of the bungalow, his eyes dark and cruel. "We need to leave this house," his dad said. "Something's wrong. I heard John talking to someone at night." They ran upstairs. The hallway was dark, the air heavy. They heard John scream. His dad kicked open the door. John was on the floor, his eyes wide, his body shaking. A shadow loomed over him, tall and pale. John's mom screamed, "Get away from my son!" The shadow turned, and for a moment they saw Sam's face, pale with black eyes and a twisted smile. John's dad grabbed a lamp and swung it. The shadow vanished, and the room grew lighter. John was crying. "It's Sam," he sobbed. "He's a ghost. He wants me." John's parents held him tight. They didn't understand, but they believed him. His mom remembered the letters. "Samuel Carter died here," she said. "He was evil. We need to stop him." The next day they went to the town library. The librarian, an old woman, knew the bungalow's story. "Samuel Carter was a killer," she said. "He cursed the house. To stop him, you need to burn his things. Everything he touched." That night, they went back to the bungalow. The house was colder than ever, the shadows darker. They gathered the newspaper clipping, the letters, and the broken knife pieces from the shed. John found the wooden box he'd hidden under the living room floor. They piled everything in the backyard and lit a fire. The flames roared and the house shook like it was screaming. John felt Sam's cold hands one last time, then nothing. The next morning, the house was quiet. The air was warmer, the shadows gone. John's family packed their things and left. They never went back. The old bungalow stood empty, its windows dark, its walls silent. But John never forgot Sam's eyes or the cold that tried to take him.